Good morning, guys. We're going to be talking about field goal and point after attempt protection schemes, rules, coaching tips here today. Um, it's important, obviously, to coach this up. The point after attempts they don't always win a game, but they can definitely lose a game if they're done wrong. So spend all the time you need on this. Make sure you get a good snapper, a good holder, and obviously a guy that can kick it. Um, some coaching points before we get into the X's and O's. The snap to hold is probably the most important thing. That can be repped with just your snapper and your holder. Just anytime those guys don't have anything they're doing at practice, they should be snapping and holding, snapping and holding, snapping and holding over and over. They should rep that, at least 1,000 times before you get into a game. A good snap and hold will take about 1.2 seconds from the time the ball moves to get down on the ground. That should be adequate in high school. If you're really good, you can get it under a second. If you get it under a second, then you're really going to set your protection team up for success. I always coach up a Notre Dame technique when it comes to blocking. It's a little bit unique, and I'm going to kind of show you guys how that goes. But essentially, we have foot-to-foot splits. We cross our inside leg with the guy next to us, and then we stick our outside fist in the ground, and our inside hand goes on the shoulder of the guy to our inside. And I'll show you a clip of that. But essentially, it creates an impenetrable wall that no one's going to come up the middle to get a block on you. The only chance of ever getting a block would be coming off the edge, and I'll show you how we deal with that as well. As far as staffing this goes, usually you can just leave your offensive line on the field. If there's anyone that you have that's just a super wide body, every inch in this is critical. So if you can get a guy that's an inch wider than somebody else, put him on your kicker's, the strong side of your kicker. That's going to help, believe it or not. So your holder should be about 7 yards behind the center. Our cadence is usually down set, and then we just flash our hand. And then whenever the snapper's ready, he's just going to snap it back. That way, it's very difficult to time up for the defense to get a running start or anything like that. Once the kick is back, the kicker can line up wherever he wants. Hopefully, it's just about a 2 to 3 step approach, and he's getting the kick off. Make sure you just teach him to keep his head down. Holder's going to have his back leg is going to be up, and his front leg is going to be down on a knee. So depending on whatever foot, if your kicker's right foot, that's going to put the holder's left knee up in the air and his right knee into the ground. He's usually holding the spot with his offhand. When he flashes, he puts it right back down to where his spot is. Sometimes kickers like to use the pads. It's better if they don't. It's a little bit easier on the holder. If you get a soccer player, they usually don't like the pads. But just whatever the kicker wants, that's what you got to be able to learn to do. So make sure that that's just repped over and over and over again. And I'm going to kind of show you this blocking technique and then what to do if there's ever a bad snapper. So here's the alignment. You have your center here. We like to put our guard's toes next to our center's heels, and then we just go toe to toe after that. Foot to foot splits, so there's no gap in your splits at all up front. And then you're going to cross to your inside, and I'll kind of show you an example of that. These wing guys are critical. The only time that this is ever going to get blocked is if they bring a guy right up here, and this guy comes on the outside, and this guy goes and chases this guy and creates this gap here for this guy to come block it. That's going to be really your biggest weakness or your only weakness on this. So these guys really got to be coached up well. They're going to step down with their forearm out, and they're going to take anybody coming off this edge, the most inside guy they're going to take. If anybody wants to come on the outside, they're going to try to reach out with their hand and just punch and just knock them off. All they have to do is just knock them off or make them go out wider, and then it's going to be almost impossible for them to get back in. But if they go chase this guy and create this gap here for this guy to come in, that's an easy block. So these guys have to take the most inside guy coming off the edge, step down hard, don't let anybody come through this gap, and then punch at anybody coming off this edge. I usually like to get guys with big, long wingspans, so when they reach out, it adds an inch or two for those guys to run around his arm to get back in. So if you block it the way that I'm going to show you here with this cross block technique, really that's your only threat. And if you coach this guy up really well to step down to the inside, reach out and punch, this will never get blocked. One more thing to talk about before I show you an example of this blocking technique is anytime there's a bad snap, what you're going to want is you want your holder to yell out fire, fire, fire. That's going to tell these guys to get into route. So if these guys hear fire, you're just going to want to get to the quickest route you can. So you're going to send the wing guy down the front of the end zone and the tight end out the backside, and you're going to leak this guy back out across. Everybody's going to go to the right. The holder's going to know if he loses the snap, he's going to reverse out, try to get depth, and then he's going to look to make a play, try to maybe get 2 points instead of 1 on a bad snap. Hopefully you never have a bad snap. But now we're going to talk about the blocking technique. So again, the guard is going to take his right foot, the left guard will take his right foot, stick it behind the left foot of the center, take his right hand, put it on the shoulder of the center, and his left hand will go into the ground. Same thing with the tackle. The tackle will put his right foot behind the left foot of the guard with his left hand in the ground and his right foot on the shoulder of the guard. You're just going to form this wall right here with all these guys all the way down to your tight end where no one can get in. So let's take a look at what it looks like, and you guys can coach it up in your own. So here's the example. You'll see foot-to-foot splits. The guard's toes are on the center's heels. The holder is 7 yards deep, which should put him about the 10-yard line on a PAT. The snap's going to be a little high on this one, but watch the up front. We're going to step behind, stick our fist in the ground. No one's going to be able to get through. The only chance is coming off that edge, and it's just too far to run to get there.